We'll also ask the Cabinet Secretary for Lands and Physical Planning a raft of questions as well. If you're just joining us, the Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Justin Muturi, is walking into the chambers to oversee the business of the National Assembly this afternoon. This broadcast is brought to you by the Parliamentary Broadcasting.
Let us pray. Almighty God, who in your wisdom and goodness have appointed the office of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor as your servants whom you've been pleased to call to the performance of important trusts in this republic. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you are committed to our church. Amen. Start. Proceed. Proceed.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Honourable members, today morning, the nation woke up to the sad news regarding the untimely demise of nominated Senator, the Honourable Victor Pringle, MP. The honourable member passed on last night, Monday, 16th of August, 2021, after being involved in a fatal road accident in Nakuru. Honourable members, the late Senator Pringle was a budding youthful legislator who attended his post-secondary education at Maseno University, where he earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in economics. He later pursued and successfully completed a master's degree in business administration, strategic management at the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology in 2017. Honourable members, at the time of his death, the late Senator Pringle was serving his first term as a member of Parliament, having been nominated by the Jubilee Party to represent the youth in the Senate. He was an ardent and resourceful member of the Senate Standing Committee on Energy, the Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations, and the Committee of Powers and Privileges. As a youthful legislator, the late senator will also be remembered for his active membership in the Bunge Sports Club. Honourable members, prior to his brief political career, Senator Victor Pringle had previously served as a chairperson, Nakuru Land Management Board, and a board member of the Betting Control and Licensing Board. Honourable members, it is notable that in the history of Kenya, the late Senator Pringle was the first parliamentarian from the Ogiek community, one of Kenya's indigenous minority communities, whose participation in national leadership has been rare. Without doubt, honorable members, the youth of this country, the fraternity of Parliament, and the nation at large have lost a vibrant, pragmatic, and dedicated leader who had a bright future ahead of him. Our members will be informed in due course about the arrangements to according the fallen legislator a decent send-off. Our members, in honor of our departed colleague, the late Senator Victor Pringle, MP, I request that we all stand in our places and observe a moment of silence. May his soul rest in peace.
Honorable Speaker, indeed, it was a sad evening, and I want to take this early opportunity on behalf of the Jubilee Party to send our condolences to the family and friends and the entire Ogiek community on the sad demise of Senator Pringle, who, as you rightfully described, was a budding and youthful senator whose life has been cut short by that tragic accident. And we, in keeping with our traditions as Parliament, I'll be asking members that we will be coming to you for, or will be authorizing on your behalf our usual contribution whenever a member of Parliament passes on. So I expect your usual cooperation as we do our bit as National Assembly in solidarity with the Senate. It's something we need to do as Parliament, not as houses. So I would, so at least we can help mitigate some of the issues, some of the costs, in terms of even going forward, family and all the people who are depending on the young legislator. In the meantime, we join the family in, we condole the family, we pray with them, and we hope and pray that the good Lord will keep his soul in eternal peace. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Sangok.
Honorable Speaker, it's a sad day for Kenyans. And Honorable Speaker, we pray that God may remove this cloud of death above us, Honorable Speaker, because in this Parliament we have lost our colleagues, and we will wish that we finish this journey of the 12th Parliament all together in one piece. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Pringle Victor is from a minority tribe, the Ogiek, who have been known to conserve, especially our forests, Mao forest, to be specific. Honorable Speaker, it is totally a sad day, and on my own behalf, on behalf of my family, and on behalf of the 6.5 million Kenyans with disability I represent in this House, may I tender my heartfelt, sincere condolences to their family, to the people of Nakuru, and to the Ogiek community, because I know it was their first time, as you have rightly put, that they have gotten a leader, but the leadership have been cut short. The Jubilee Party tried as much as possible to balance in the nomination, They have nominated mostly youthful leaders, including myself, including Honorable Keter and others, and even the late Honorable Pringle. So may his soul rest in eternal peace, and may Jubilee remember the Ogiek community at this trying time. Thank you.
Honorable Kisang.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on behalf of myself, my family, and the people of Marakwet West, I wish to take this opportunity to send my sincere condolences to the family of the late Senator Victor Pringle.
Trans Nzoia County, I want to send a message of condolence to the family and the relatives of Senator Pringle and the people of Nakuru, and specifically to the Ogiek community. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
Honorable Murugara.
Mr. Speaker, allow me also to convey my very sincere condolences to the family of the late Victor Pringle, nominated senator. On behalf of the people of Tharaka constituency, Kenya has lost one of its most astute senators and legislators, youthful and well-meaning to the country, and therefore it is a big loss that we are going to experience for a long time. But in view of the fact that we must accept God's will, mine would be to convey the condolences to the family, to the people of Nakuru, the small community of the Ogiek, and also the entire Republic of Kenya. May all of them be condoled, and may his soul rest in eternal peace. Thank you.
Speaker.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker. On my behalf and on behalf of my constituency, Kuresoi North, and indeed on behalf of Nakuru County, I really would wish to give my sincere condolences to the family of the late Pringle. Late Pringle, Mr. Speaker, comes from a place called Marioshoni in Nakuru County. But initially, before he came there, he was resident of a place called Chebara in Kuresoi South, which I represented between 2002, 2007 as Kuresoi constituency. He also went to school in a local secondary school there called Moi Secondary School, Amalo. And so he's a person whom I can associate with, other than, of course, being a person from Nakuru County. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Pringle is leaving a very young family. And I want to say this year has been very heavy for Parliament generally. We've lost many members, and also for country at large, because we have also lost quite a number of people.
A prescription of the code of conduct from details of the law. Details of code of conduct, Mr. Speaker, and penalties shall be included in the code of conduct itself.
Very well. So I propose a question which is at clause 21 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Chair. And I put the question which is at clause 21 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Chair. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. I put the question which is at clause 21 as amended be now part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 22.
I propose a question which is at clause 22 be part of the bill.
Mr. Chair, I move that clause 22 be amended as per the order paper, basically by deleting clause 22. No, this is clause 22. Mr. Speaker, this was dealing with issues of confidentiality, which are to be left and handled in the code of conduct itself.
Very well. So then I propose a question which is at clause 22 be deleted. I put the question which is at clause 22 be deleted. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. So for deletion, I don't think we need to put any global question. So we proceed.
Clause 23.
I propose a question which is at clause 23 be part of the bill.
I move that, Mr. Chair, clause 23. I think I'll be going one by one.
What is it, Honorable Ole Sankok, David, 001?
I think I heard you say clause 23 being part of the bill, and I think you should actually propose that it should be amended. Then later on you say be part of the bill.
Okay, now the Honorable Sankok, that is why you are sitting there, someone is sitting here. Okay. Because this is a person who would know how to run this particular issue. Now, so the Honorable Sankok, we are moving on just fine. Okay. I know you are getting a little tired. You've been very active this afternoon. So the first proposal is to put it to make it part of the bill. Then the chair will move the amendment, and then we take the proposal now for you to make any decision in terms of contributing, and then we put the question. Okay. That is the position. But I'm very happy that you are very keen, Honorable Sankok, and you're actually a fast learner. You know you are a first-time member of parliament, and you have been very, very active. So let's proceed. You know, but as you deal, of course, with the Honorable Mutavi Kilonzo, you know, in the year 2002, he was here. No, 2003, he was actually here. Together with the, you know, with the chair of that particular committee, he was also here in 2000. So they have learned the ropes. But you can imagine in a short while, you have been able to move that fast. That's a good student.
Chair, I've been monolizing monos. They don't know that I'm a mono. Now you are telling them that
Proceed, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's very important that Olo Sankok knows 2003 when I joined Parliament, he was probably looking after cattle somewhere. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chair, I move that clause 23 be amended as per the order paper. And Mr. Speaker, this is where we have specifically stated that the office of a High Commissioner, ambassador, diplomatic, or consular representative shall be a state office for purposes of Article 260 of the Constitution. We all know the issue we had with one of the nominees who had a dual citizenship, Mr. Speaker. So this is meant to deal with that, clarify that issue and to solve the problem once and for all in future.
Propose a question which is that clause 23 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Chair. I put the question which is that clause 23 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Chair. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Then now, the Honorable Chair, we want us to proceed to have the proposal of this new clause 23.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Just a minute. Let me put the global question so that we become a bit tidier. So I put the question which is that clause 23 be amended, as amended, be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Proposed new clause 23A.
Now, let me call the mover to move second reading of the new clause.
Mr. Speaker, I move that clause 23A be read a second time.
Very well. So I propose a question which is that new clause 23 be now read a second time. I see no interest in this particular one. So I put the question which is that new clause 23 be now read a second time. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I propose then the question which is that the new clause 23 be part of 23A, sorry, be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. No, honorable members, I have jumped the gun. So let me redo it again. I propose the question, which is that new clause 23A be part of the bill. Any member who wants to speak to it? So I put the question now, which is that the new clause 23A be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 24.
I propose the question which is that clause 24 be part of the bill. All the members, and no member should come between the speaker, the chair, and the member contributing. Who is that chair member who has just walked in? Okay, proceed anyway. The Honorable Kilonzo.
Mr. Speaker, I move that clause 24 be amended as per the bill, and this, Mr. Speaker, is basically by deleting clause 4 as per the order paper.
So it's a deletion, so I propose a question which is that clause 24 be deleted. No, that's deleting as subclause 4. So it's not the deletion of the entire clause. So therefore, I propose a question which is that clause 24 be amended as proposed by the chair. I put the question which is that clause 24 be deleted as proposed by the Honorable Chair. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Put the question which is that clause 24 as amended be now part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 25.
Propose the question which is at clause 25 be part of the bill.
Mr. Chair, I move that clause 25 be amended as per the order paper, which is basically deleting clause 2, subclause 2.
All right, so I propose a question which is at clause 25 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Chair. I put the question which is at clause 25 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Chair. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it, and I put the question which is at clause 25 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 26.
I propose a question which is at clause 26 be part of the bill. There's no amendment to this one, so I put the question which is at clause 26 be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 27.
I propose a question which is at clause 27 be part of the bill. I think the chair of that particular committee is using what we call division of labor.
Yes.
Which is actually a good thing. Which is a good thing.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I beg to move that clause 27, we delete subclause 3.
Order. Now, who is this again? Order, honorable members. Order. Take your seat if there is any there. Very good. Now, proceed to the Honorable Russell.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I beg to move that clause 27, we delete subclause 3. This is just to clarify the reporting channels where there is no head of mission within a country.
Okay, so then I propose a question which is that clause 27 be amended as proposed by the chair. And I put the question which is that clause 27 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. And I put the question which is at clause 27 as amended be now part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Part 6.
I propose a question which is at part 6 be part of the bill. Be deleted, sorry.
Honorable Chair, I beg to move that part 6 of the bill be deleted because this has already been included previously in the part of ambassadors, high commissioners, diplomatic and consular representative in part 2 of the bill.
Very well. So then I propose a question which is at part 4, part 6 be deleted. I put the question which is at part 6 be deleted. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. And as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 28.
I propose a question which is at clause 28 be part of the bill. It does not have an amendment, so I put the question which is at clause 28 be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 29.
I propose a question which is at clause 29 be part of the bill.
Honorable Chair, I beg to move that in clause 29, we delete subclause 2 and 3. This is basically what had been proposed, is both prescriptive and restrictive. This is to make the bill flow without any overt prescription.
Very well. So then I propose a question which is at clause 29 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Chair. I put the question which is at clause 29 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Chair. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I put the question which is at clause 29 as amended be now part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 30.
I propose the question which is at clause 30 be part of the bill. Sorry, it's a deletion. So I propose the question which is at clause 30 be deleted.
Honorable Chair, I beg to move that clause 30 be deleted. This is basically to clean up the bill for the logical flow of the bill throughout.
Very well. So therefore, I propose a question which is at clause 30 be deleted. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 31.
I propose a question which is at clause 31 be part of the bill. And I put the question which is at clause 31 be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 32.
I propose a question which is at clause 32 be part of the bill.
Honorable Chair, I beg to move that we delete clause 32 and substitute accordingly with the following text as per the order paper. The purpose or the reason for this amendment is informed by functions of other foreign service academies and also represent international best practice.
Very well. So then I propose the question which is that clause 32 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Chair. The Honorable Sankok.
Of all the amendments that we have done, Honorable Chair, I really support this one because the head of missions and the ambassadors are our face outside there, training them, because this basically deal with training and ensuring that they can form linkages and collaboration with other countries. Now that we are gearing towards having foreign exchange from immigrant workers, Kenyans working abroad, and we have had problems with those working in Saudi Arabia, I think training our ambassadors and head of missions will be very important. So this one is a very important amendment. Thank you, I support.
Very well. So then therefore, I propose the question which is that clause 32 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Chair. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. And I put the question which is that clause 32 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 33.
I propose the question which is at clause 33 be part of the bill.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I beg to move that clause 33, delete paragraph D. This is to just align this bill with the constitutional requirement of public service, Article 232(1)(1) of the Constitution.
Very well. So then I propose the question which is at clause 33 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Chair. I put the question which is at clause 33 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Chair. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Those of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. And I put the question which is that clause 33 as amended be now part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clauses 34, 35, and 36.
I propose a question which is at clauses 34 through to 36 be part of the bill. And I put the question which is at clauses 34 through to 36 be part of the bill? Will as many as of that opinion say aye? And as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 37.
I propose the question which is at clause 37 be part of the bill. Chair?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I beg to move that clause 37 be amended as per order paper by deleting subclause 1. This is because the appointing authority in this case is the council as opposed to the cabinet secretary. And also this is in line with Mwongozo Code of Governance as practiced in our country.
Very well. So then I propose a question which is at clause 37 be part of the bill. I put the question which is at clause 37 be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? And as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. And I put the question which is at the clause 37 as amended be now part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? And as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 38.
Propose a question which is at clause 38 be part of the bill.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I beg to move that we delete clause 38 and substitute as per text in the order paper. This is to align this bill with Mwongozo Code of Governance, also to provide clarity on who is the accounting officer in the academy, and also to enhance the functions of the Director General.
Very well. So then I propose a question which is that clause 38 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Chair. I put the question which is at clause 38 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Chair. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I put the question which is that clause 38 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
New clause 38A.
Let's have the mover to move the second reading of the new clause.
Chair, now allow me to recall my delegated powers and authority, and now move that clause 38A be read for a second time.
Very well. So I propose a question which is that new clause 38A be now read a second time. I put the question which is that new clause 38A be now read a second time. Will as many as of that opinion say aye?
Aye.
Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. And I propose the question which is that the new clause 38A be part of the bill. I put the question which is that new clause 38A be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? And as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, and 45.
I propose a question which is at clauses 39 through to 45 be part of the bill. I put the question which is at clauses 39 through to 45 be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 46.
I propose a question which is at clause 46 be part of the bill.
Chair, I move that clause 46 be amended as per the order paper, and this is to align it with the provisions of Public Audit Act of 2015 that says that after every 3 months from the end of the financial year, the council shall submit to the Auditor General the accounts of the academy, that is the statement of income and the balance sheet. I move.
So, honorable members, now we are back So I propose the question which is at clause 46 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Chair. I put the question which is at clause 46 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Chair. Will as many as of that opinion say aye?
Aye.
Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. And I put the question which is at clause 46 as amended be now part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye?
Aye.
Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Part 9.
I propose a question which is at part 9 be part of the bill.
Chair, I move that part 9, which is the title, be amended as per the order paper. That is just the insertion of the words, the provisions immediately after the miscellaneous, the word miscellaneous, to complete the title.
I want to confirm the part 9 as the title. Just a minute. Is that the position? So allow me to avoid the part of the title because this is actually a subtitle. So I propose a question which is at part 9 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Chair. I put the question which is at part 9 be amended as proposed by the Chair. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. So I put the question which is at part 9 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clauses 47, 48, and 49.
I propose a question which is at clauses 48, 47, 48, and 49 be part of the bill. And I put the question which is at clauses 47, 48, and 49 be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
New clause 49A.
Okay, let's have the mover to move second reading of the new clause.
Thank you, Chair. I move that new clause 49A be read for a second time.
I propose the question. No, so let me propose a question which is that new clause 49A be now read a second time. I put the question which is that new clause 49A be read a second time. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. And I put the question, and I propose the question which is that the new clause 49A be part of the bill. I put the question which is that new clause 49A be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 50.
I propose a question which is that clause 50 be part of the bill.
Chair, I move that the bill be amended in clause 50 as per the order paper. This is just to expand the scope of the regulations that may be made by the Cabinet Secretary for the administration of this act. So they are listed the issues that the Cabinet Secretary may make regulations on. I beg to move.
All right, so then I propose a question which is that clause 50 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Chair. I put the question which is at clause 50 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Chair. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Put the question which is at clause 50 as amended be now part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye?
Aye.
Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 51.
I propose the question which is at clause 51 be part of the bill. And I put the question which is at clause 51 be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Schedule.
I propose the question which is that the schedule be scheduled to the bill. I put the question which is that the schedule be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 2.
I propose a question which is that clause 2 be part of the bill. Honorable Chair.
Chair, I move that the bill be amended in clause 2 as per the order paper. This is about the interpretation, so it's more of the definition of several terms used in the bill, like attaché, the dependent child, among others. and they are all to conform with the existing laws.
Then I propose a question which is at clause 2 be part of the bill. I put the question which is at clause 2 be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye?
Aye.
And as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. And I put the question which is at clause 2 as amended be now part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 1.
I propose the question which is at clause 1 be part of the bill. I put the question which is at clause 1 be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye?
Aye.
Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Title.
I propose the question which is at the title be the title to the bill. And I put the question which is at the title be the title to the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye?
Aye.
And as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. And congratulations, members, honorable members. We have come to the end of that particular bill. So we now
Go to report.
just allow me something, a minute. What is it, the Honorable Sankok? Which one? Which gadget, Honorable Sankok?
Our gadget only went up to clause 50. So, Chair, sometimes it is good for us. I've been following keenly.
I know.
But it only went to 50. Whatever you said after 50 was, I was not following.
Yeah, probably your gadget is faulty, mine is not.
No.
I'm trying to see, which gadget are we talking about now?
No.
Well, I'm told I should use the phone, but this gadget,
Okay.
this one,
Well,
these machines. Is it called a laptop?
At least you
Or iPad?
sorry.
Lollipop?
Sorry. You actually are, I think what you have done, you are using the order paper.
Oh,
and
yes.
the order paper takes you up to 50 because that is the only clause, the last clause that has
the
amendment.
rest have
Oh,
Then
yes.
there are a few others which are behind. We do not have amendments, so therefore you don't need to put it in the order paper. The only areas that we put in the order paper are those ones with amendments.
Thank you, well
So,
guided.
yeah, so the last three do not have any amendments, but quite a good observation, obviously,
Thank you.
because it's good when you notice that some members are following very keenly.
Yes.
So then we can proceed. We now, honorable members, I want to call the mover to move reporting.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I beg to move that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Foreign Service Bill, National Assembly Bill number 8 of 2021, and its approval thereof with amendments.
Very well. So then I put the question, which is that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Foreign Service Bill, National Assembly Bill number 8 of 2021, and its approval thereof with amendments. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Any as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Chair.
I thank you, the Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole House has considered the Foreign Service Bill, National Assembly Bill number 8 of 2021, and approved the same with amendments.
Mover.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee in the said report And I request Honorable Charles Kilonzo to second the motion for agreement with the report of the Committee of the House, whole House.
The Honorable Kilonzo.
I second, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, I propose the question, which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. Honorable members, I direct that the question will be put at such other time that the matter will be set down for consideration. I direct that we move to the next business.
Order number 11, the Irrigation Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2021, second reading.
Leader of Majority.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Irrigation Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2021, be now read a second time. Honorable Speaker, this is a critical bill that seeks to update and streamline some provisions of our Irrigation Act of 2019, which, Mr. Speaker, you recall, was to make provisions for the development, management, and regulation of irrigation as part of supporting sustainable food security and socio-economic development. And Honorable Speaker, the House will recall that His Excellency the President has undertaken some specific pillars that are critical to ensuring the development of this country, as well as protecting people at the lower ends of the pyramid, the very vulnerable groups, by ensuring that people have sufficient food. Just this afternoon, members will recall that we just passed the NHIF bill, which anchors the health bit of human, the human beings. So you want to help the nation, but you also want the people to have enough food, adequate food, as part of the realization of the Article 43 rights that people should have adequate food. And to get adequate food, you then need to have adequate food production. And, Honorable Speaker, we know that 80% of the land mass of this country is either arid or semi-arid. And hence, for people living in these areas, if we are not going to change the way agriculture takes place by introducing irrigation methods, then we are going to have 80% of the landmass of this country unusable, and hence people who depend, which affects our food productivity, food production, and hence our food security. As a country, we have overdepended on rain-fed agriculture, and this is perhaps one of the problems why we, still, every time there's a small drought, we are running all over the world, announcing to the world that we are food scarce. I think it's just the other day we had a motion, about a week ago or 2 weeks, we had a motion here to discuss the disaster that will come because the rains are failing. Yet, with proper irrigation, we've seen countries in the deserts even having, becoming food, having surplus food. Honorable Speaker, one of the things I just picked in our recent trips, educational trips abroad, is Dubai as a country, or the UAE, is in the desert. They have a forest. But beyond that, they are now creating and starting rice plantations to supply the world with rice grown in the desert. Now, for them to even grow that, they have to import soil. We have the soil. All we don't have is the proper irrigation methods and mechanism, and this bill is trying to streamline the sector so that we can do better in terms of our irrigation. So the principal object of this bill is basically to amend the Irrigation Act of 2019 to expand the administration and management of irrigation matters by the National Irrigation Authority, and to ensure adoption of best practices in irrigation as well as what we call in sustainable development of the irrigation infrastructure and investment of the same and financing. The bill intends to consolidate the provision, the management and administration of land, both in national or public irrigation schemes, as well as the inter-county schemes for public use, and also to amend Section 13 of the Act with the aim of harmonizing the provisions of the Irrigation Act, the Water Act, and the Water Resources Management Rules, so that the three rules should have some level of consistency. This bill further seeks to amend Section 22 to make provisions for the financing of potential development of infrastructure for the development of irrigation, as well as how you finance the irrigation services and advisory support. I'm just highlighting a few things, because the rest is a very simple bill that we should be able to even dispense of with the members who are in this house. At Section 34 of the Act, again, the amendment seeks to empower the Cabinet Secretary to make some regulations, to make regulation to provide for basically the objects of the bill, which is development of irrigation, including infrastructure, water storage, and to provide for multi-agency consultation and coordination. Honorable Speaker, to streamline the management of the National Irrigation Authority, the bill also empowers the Cabinet Secretary to, with justification, remove a member of the board if the member conducts himself or herself in a manner that is undesirable as a director, or carries themselves in a way that puts the organization to disrepute. Again, the standard provisions that we have within the Leadership and Integrity Act, within the Constitution. So anyone who flouts the provisions of Chapter 6 of the Constitution, there will be now that provision, so long as they are members of the management of the National Irrigation Authority, for action to be taken. Again, this is for emphasis on matter, because we know it's already in the Constitution, but because people seem to forget the Constitution and look at the law that pertains to them, there's no harm in repeating some of these things for abundance of caution, as you say in your profession. I also note within the committee, and I'm sure the chair or vice chair of the committee will be taking us through, I've seen the work they've done, and I want to thank them for really having gone through this and having tabled a report earlier this month, especially knowing that this bill only came to the House not too long ago. But the committee took it upon themselves to look at it, and they are also making some suggestions on some amendments which I've looked through, and I'm in concurrence because I believe they are all intended to make the bill better. They are the ones who carried out the public participation and have introduced some of those things that are required to ensure that the intention of the bill, which is noble, is again to support what we all need in this country, which is to ensure that with or without rain, come rain, come shine, we shall have food in this country. This country has 582,000 square kilometers. There's absolutely no reason why we should be looking for food from outside the country just because we rely on only 20% of that land. Less than 100,000 square kilometers is what we use for agriculture. And the rest is left to, to God. If there's rain, let's have something. If there's no rain, then we are all struggling to look for food from other places. Yet we know that we have water, we can harness the water. Our rivers are flowing into the ocean. We have so much underground water. And just by harnessing all that water resource and converting it, we can be able to provide food. Honorable Speaker, if you recall, if you traveled from Nairobi going towards Nakuru, all that area from, Maimahiu, all the way to Nakuru, used to be dry land. When you go through there today, you will see it's all green. When you look at Naivasha, most of the horticultural products that are being consumed in Europe is all coming from Naivasha, courtesy of irrigation. Yet the whole of that area had been abandoned as rangeland. So if you go to Kieni and all those areas where the weather is so good, but the only difference is the water resource that's required to apply to the soil, which is so fertile, and obviously with modern technology, even the soil fertility can be sorted out. But you're able now to get food from those dry lands. If you look at Ukambani, if you look at Taita, those areas, we are now getting good produce from those dry land. So it's just a matter of refocusing as a nation in terms of what we want to do to ensure that the 45 million Kenyans who are currently living in Kenya and who are expected to grow perhaps to 70 in the next 20 years, that exponential growth of people, or those people, will find that we have put in place structures and systems to ensure they have enough food, not just for themselves, but for export. Because people will continue having food. And one of the things COVID has shown us is that it doesn't matter whether you're isolated. It does not matter what happens. Human beings will need to eat. So the future is dependent heavily on people who are able to provide food for themselves and for export. Because food will always be required. Technology will always be required. People will need to live in a house. So there are some things that even our youth should not be looking at. Because I see most of them finishing university. And all they're looking at is looking for white-collar jobs. Instead of now looking at how can I get into food production, efficient food production and processing, and making a business out of it, because people will always eat. And in most of the other countries, that's what is sustaining those economies, food production. And I think for us, at this point, if we can create the systems that are required to support irrigation, we would have gone one step in ensuring that this country can produce food for itself and for the neighborhood and for the commercial markets from the arid and semi-arid areas that the good Lord did bestow on this country. But we have beautiful weather, constant temperatures between day and night, which is good for food production. We don't have severe winters, we don't have severe summers. All we need is harness the fertility of our soils and the water that we have, and we have food produced. So this bill is basically trying to help, putting all that by streamlining the Irrigation Act of 2019 to bring it up to speed and to respond to the current challenges so that Kenya can become a food-secure country. With those remarks, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move and ask the Honorable Chachunganya, the Vice Chair of the committee, that has all these bigger mandates on water, environment, and natural resources to second.
The member for North Horde, the Honorable Churchill.
Thank you, the Leader Majority. Honorable Speaker, I beg to support the Irrigation Amendment Bill 2021. Mr. Speaker, I beg to support and second. Mr. Speaker, the Irrigation Act was assented to in the year 2019 to repeal the archaic Irrigation Act, Cap 247, laws of Kenya. As with other sectors, the irrigation sector was highly affected after 2010 Constitution was promulgated. As a result, a number of legislations had to be aligned with the new Constitution, in particular to conform and embrace devolution. Mr. Speaker, the Act of 2019 was meant to streamline the development, management, and regulation of irrigation and to support sustainable food security and socio-economic development in Kenya. Mr. Speaker, the Act outlines the respective roles of national and county government in facilitating the irrigation sector in our country. Honorable Speaker, the Act also embraced a multi-sectoral and participatory approach to irrigation development and management and fully recognized private sector involvement as well as other non-state actors in irrigation development and management for improved sustainability. Mr. Speaker, additionally, it strengthened and enhanced institutions such as many other institutions, e.g., formation of irrigation water user associations, umbrella water organizations, to give them autonomy, self-reliance, as well as proper governance structures and the necessary requisite legal status for them to enter into agreement with national government, county governments, private sector institutions, or any other institutions. So, Speaker, the Act has expanded the mandate of the National Irrigation Authority and provided for its board composition in line with principles of corporate governance. Honorable Speaker, through progressive piece of legislation that has brought about positive albeit gradual reforms in the irrigation sector, certain gaps and inconsistencies have been identified, which will ultimately require some minimum amendments in order to ensure effective and seamless implementation of the Act. Some of these areas of concerns are as follows. One, omission of the key terms from the definition, even though these terms have been widely referred to in various sections of the Act. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, is the lack of flexibility by appointing authority in terms of board appointments in order to meet the threshold of Article 6 of the Constitution and the Mogozo Code of Governance for State Corporations, as well as other governing regulations. Third, Mr. Speaker, is in need for harmonizations with provisions of the Water Act 2016 and related regulations, e.g. water resource regulations. Fourth, and the last one, Mr. Speaker, is the extension of the time for publications, of regulations owing to extensive stakeholder consultation involved in this water subsector. Mr. Speaker, arising from this background, the Irrigation Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2021, which was published on 16 April 2021 and read a first time on 18th June 2021, the bill was thereafter committed to the Departmental Committee on Environment and Natural Resources pursuant to National Standing Order 127. So, Speaker, the principle of the bill is to amend the Irrigation Act to expand the administration and management of irrigation matters in Kenya. To achieve this expansion, Mr. Speaker, the bill seeks to amend various sections of the Act to ensure adoption of best practices in irrigation, as well as to enhance sustainable development of irrigation infrastructure, investment, and financing. Honorable Speaker, following a placement of an advert in the print media on 11 June 2021, requesting for comments on the bill from members of the public and stakeholders pursuant to Article 118, 1B of the Constitution and Standing Order 127.3, the committee received a memorandum from the Council of Governors. Honorable Speaker, the committee also invited the Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation for a meeting on the bill, which was held on Wednesday, 21st July 2021 at Windsor Golf Hotel and Country Club. The outcome of the deliberations with the ministry and stakeholders proposed amendments to the bill have been taken into account while determining the final proposed amendment as contained in the committee's report. Honorable Speaker, the committee will be proposing amendments to the bill during the committee of the whole House to clean up the act to avoid inconsistencies such as in the use of the word irrigation project to irrigation schemes as proposed in the bill. Further, Mr. Speaker, the committee will be proposing to amend the qualification of the chairperson of the board as well as the composition of the membership of the board, among other areas, to enhance best practices in the irrigation sector. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, we note there exist issues in the administration of the board, particularly as regards to the structure of management of the organization. As a committee, Mr. Speaker, in consultation with the Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation, we will have proposed amendments to rectify the issue, especially as it relates to the titling of the Chief Executive Officer of the National Irrigation Authority, which Ministry proposed should be renamed as Director General. However, Mr. Speaker, we know the constraint of Standing Order 133.5 that provides that amendment should not necessarily expand the scope of the bill. In this regard, we implore that the Leader of Majority considers the proposed amendment in the preparation of the Statute Law Institutes Amendment Bill, which will be forthcoming in the near future. Mr. Speaker, sir, finally, on behalf of the committee, I want to thank the office of the clerk and the speaker for the logistical support and technical support it accorded us during our sittings as we considered this bill. As a committee, we further wish to thank all the stakeholders who participated in the consideration of this bill. Finally, I wish to express my appreciation to my colleagues who sat long hours to ensure that this bill becomes a reality. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, and I beg to support.
Honorable members, allow me then to propose that the Irrigation Amendments Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2021 be now read a second time. I see interest from the Honorable Ole Sankok.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to support this bill. Honorable Speaker, and I thank the Leader of Majority and the members of that committee because this is a very important bill, considering, Honorable Speaker, that we have our President Big Four agenda. Among the Big Four agenda is what we have just discussed on the health bill, on the universal health care. And now we are in the second pillar of the Big Four agenda, food security, which of course will rely on our ability to irrigate our land, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, 80% of our land mass is either arid or semi-arid, and these people need food. Where does the food come from? It is from the 20% of the land mass of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, that is a bigger burden that the 20% to carry 80% is huge and they have massive. And our agriculture have been solely depending on rain. Honorable Speaker, with all this climatic change, it is becoming difficult to support even the 20% if they can be able to produce food that is enough for them. With our increase in population and our land shrinking to almost people owning a quarter of an acre, where you build a house, build a pit latrine, and probably a small boma for the chicken or for the goats, Honorable Speaker, and the land is finished, you will not get where to produce food. So we have to move and utilize the remaining 80% semi-arid and arid land in our country. Honorable Speaker, and as Kenya, as a country, we are so lucky, Honorable Speaker. And I remember we had a proposal when I was the SONU president in the University of Nairobi, student organization of Nairobi University. We sat with my cabinet, Honorable Speaker, and we gave proposal of how we can tap with the lack that we have as a country, having water above. Honorable Speaker, most of our arid areas and semi-arid areas are lowlands. And with continuous erosion, very fertile soils have been deposited in those lowlands, Honorable Speaker, which are arid and semi-arid. Honorable Speaker, Mount Kenya is a source of water, Honorable Speaker, and is more than 4,800 meters above sea level. Honorable Speaker, Mount Longonot, Mount Elgon, Honorable Speaker, Mount Kilimanjaro, Aberdare Regis, Honorable Speaker, is 2,000 meters above sea level. Honorable Speaker, our lowlands, some of them are as low as 100 meters above sea level. Honorable Speaker, a difference of 2,000 meters, Honorable Speaker, above sea level will make water run using gravity to all these lowlands, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, and if we can just tap this water that is above, tap water, Honorable Speaker, from Mount Kenya, Honorable Speaker, and let the water flow not to Indian Ocean, but, Honorable Speaker, to Wajir, to Garissa, Honorable Speaker, and to Isiolo, Honorable Speaker. You will not need any pumping, Honorable Speaker. You will only need gravity. The only thing that you have to do is piping. Honorable Speaker, and in my cabinet of University of Nairobi in the year 2000, we did some calculation, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, and if I can bring that calculation to now, we have 246,757 kilometers of government roads, Honorable Speaker, in the entire country. Honorable Speaker, piping these roads, along this road, putting pipes of 8 inches each. Those are plastic pipes. They call them PPRs, Honorable Speaker. So piping using 18 inches pipes will cost 75,000 per kilometer, times 246,757. That will translate to only 18.5 billion Kenya shillings to pipe all government roads in the entire country. Whether Maram, whether Tamak, just along those roads, you will require 18.5 billion only, Honorable Speaker. Putting pegler taps at intervals of 50 meters, Honorable Speaker, will require 20 taps per kilometer, times 246,757 kilometers of road will translate to 10 billion. Honorable Speaker, so with 28.5 billion, you have put pipes, PPR pipes of 18 inches, all along all the roads, government roads, whether Maram or Tamak, that will drain water from Mount Kilimanjaro, Mount Kenya, Aberdare Regis, all the way to our lowlands, Honorable Speaker, that will not require any pump. It is only gravity, Honorable Speaker, so that River Tana does not have to flow to Indian Ocean, because there is already enough water there. Other river will not have to flow to Indian Ocean. There is already a lot of water there. Honorable Speaker, we will be able to have water flowing along all our government roads, and the work of the citizen is just to connect with some pipes to their farms, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, and this water flowing in those pipes is courtesy of gravity. That water that is flowing in those pipes is 24 hours, Honorable Speaker, because River Tana have never stopped. It is still flowing, Honorable Speaker. So if you want to irrigate your farm, even your rangeland, that is for the use of your livestock, Honorable Speaker, you don't have any expense, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, with an approximate, Honorable Speaker, of currently 50 billion, we'll be able to have paid for services, labor, for our youth, Honorable Speaker, to be able to irrigate and to make water flow to all our rangeland, Honorable Speaker, and all our farms, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this is the money that we require. It's not massive money, Honorable Speaker. And we will have clean water, Honorable Speaker, because first, there is no desertification of water in the Aberdare Regis, Honorable Speaker. There is no desertification of water in Mount Kilimanjaro, Honorable Speaker, and Mount Kenya, Honorable Speaker. So the water is good for drinking, Honorable Speaker. The water is good for irrigation. PPR pipes, Honorable Speaker, are known that when you put them under the ground, Honorable Speaker, they don't rot. So they will be, they will exist for a long time, Honorable Speaker. Repairing is almost nil, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, so it is only us to sit down as a country and think. And I think this irrigation board is very important so that they sit and think. Because I remember when we sat down in the year 2000. I was the SONU president that time. Irungu Kangata, the senator, was my deputy president, Honorable Speaker. There were other leaders, Honorable Speaker, that were sitting in that cabinet. And we took this proposal to the then KANU government, Honorable Speaker. At that time, it was costing partly 13 billion. They never listened to us. Honorable Speaker, it is high time that we make sure that these proposals, some of them that are beneficial not to individuals, but to the whole country, Honorable Speaker. You cannot imagine the magic that 50 billion will do. Capital-intensive infrastructure like the expressway, which is only 21 kilometers of tarmac road, have costed Kenya more than 60 billion. We are talking of 50 billion. That will benefit 50 million Kenyans. This expressway will only benefit Kenyans who are going to the airport. How many Kenyans do use that airport, Honorable Speaker? How many Kenyans will use the water? And piping and making water available to all citizens, Honorable Speaker, will be only costing us 50 billion, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as I've said earlier, our highlands are the ones that receive rain, and there is where agriculture we depend on because of agriculture. But these highlands, because of continuous soil erosion, the fertile soil from those highlands have been eroded and deposited in the lowlands. Fertile lowlands, Honorable Speaker. You may not need to use fertilizers in the production of food. We have seen Galana irrigation scheme. Honorable, the majority leader, have given an example of Naivasha, how productive it is. But remember, those people are still producing food against the use of machines that you have to pump water up to your farm. We are talking of water traveling because of gravity down to our farms, so you don't have an extra expense for the diesel for the machine or for electricity. It's just a pipe, Honorable Speaker, that will be flowing. You can even open the tap throughout the night, throughout 7 days in a week, 24 hours in a day, and throughout the year, and water that is flowing like River Tana will never get finished, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, with those very many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I support this particular bill, but as a House, we have to go further and dig and know what will be profitable to all of us. I'm sure, just the way Libya was done, and you know Libya was pumping water against gravity. For us in Kenya, we will not be pumping water against gravity. It will be gravity assisting us to bring water to our doorstep, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I do support 100%.
Honorable Sankok, I believe that is revolutionary. That is, you are speaking to natural reticulation of water across the country. And I think that is very important. Thank you for your contribution. The Honorable Odur Ombaka, member for Siaya.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity just to contribute to this bill, which I support highly. It's because this country is blessed with water resources, including the Lake Victoria, which is one of the freshwater lakes in the world. And it's not being utilized very well when it comes to irrigation. This country suffers a lot from hunger. People suffer a lot when hunger strikes. You see children, women, everybody in very dry areas suffer, and sometimes the whole world gets concerned and send food and money to support the people who are suffering in this country. Therefore, irrigation is a solution to some of the problems we do have, especially where there's no food. We have never utilized irrigation very well. And I know that we have water resources all over, as already been mentioned in the mountains and in central Kenya. We have hilly areas and mountains where you can get water. We have a lot of trees also growing in the Rift Valley. So really, if you're looking for water in this country, you can get it. It's only that we have never utilized it very well. So irrigation is key to the issues of hunger, poverty, and lack of food, and food and nutrition. I want to support this highly because we have manpower. We have people who can help us. If you look at Israel, which is a desert, it has been transformed into a very fertile country. It produces food and is self-independent. I think we can get to that level when we learn from them how they do it was so right, so well. This country can learn from other countries that are currently using irrigation and being self-reliant and able to feed its own citizens. I think time has come that we need to change tact on how to make money, on how to have food and look after our citizens, so that we avoid this yearly or annual hunger that we have, and the whole world sympathizes and pities us. It's like we cannot make it. I think time has come that we can move above that. I won't have much to say over this now, but I do believe that this is the right direction. This is a very, very good bill that we should really move very fast with it and make sure that it is implemented, and the authorities behind this that will implement it are also empowered to do so and do so effectively. Otherwise, I support the bill, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
The Honorable Kimani Kuria, member for Molo.
That we're discussing here today speaks to the backbone of the economy of the country and of the world, and it speaks to an issue of human rights, the access to food. Mr. Speaker, in the year 2021, it's such a shame that at times we've seen our people die out of hunger. But even when we have such great weather in this country, when you have such great soils in this country, when in some places you can just throw seeds and they just germinate and flourish, and you get food, that you still have people going hungry. But Mr. Speaker, this bill comes very timely because it seeks to create this irrigation infrastructure, to have a mechanism to create investment around the irrigation sector and financing of these particular projects. Mr. Speaker, this bill proposes to set up an irrigation board. But in this, I would like to set this pause on notice. Mr. Speaker, if you do an audit of the number of boards we have in this country, there's so many of them, whether it is the ICT board, whether it's KMTC board, now we have National Irrigation Board. But we need to ask ourselves, how do they operate? When you compare their recurrent expenses, the amount of money they pay on salaries, the amount of money they allocate for their mortgages and their cars, and their day-to-day expenses, how does that compare to the amount of money that goes directly to the project and to the mandates that these particular institutions are supposed to do? The Speaker was privileged to host one institution in my constituency yesterday called Bid Africa. And I was surprised that such a big institution with projects across the country has only a staffing of 8 employees, only 8. And yet, they were able to give us an ICT lab, a chemistry lab, and they're doing several other projects in Nakuru County and across the country with only a staffing of 8 people. They don't have a board. They do not have all these ranks of CEO and deputy CEO and all these positions. But they are able to do something in this country. But when it comes to government institutions, they are big on names. They are big on plans. They are big on strategic plans. But when it comes to action on the ground, to matters that matter, then you find that that it becomes lacking. And therefore, my appeal, as I support this bill, is that we're going to have an irrigation board that looks at the needs of Kenyans, and not just thinking about Galanakulalu, those big irrigation schemes, but thinking about how do we empower that farmer in Molo to farm along Mulu River? How do we make sure that that farmer in Mukinyai or in Wetima can farm along Mau River? Because that's water, and that is irrigation. So we do not need to spend billions of shillings on mega projects that becomes an opportunity to steal. But how about do we make these projects to go down to where the people are? Across the country, there are very many water pans. There are very many dams. But how is that water utilized? And then you'll find we'll sit here and talk about a big plan, how we're going to irrigate. And yet, the small water resources that we have around our constituencies, around our homes, are not being properly utilized. And this is water that has been freely given to us by God. Mr. Speaker, we need to have a conversation as a country about our land use. Every time you fly around the country, you'll find we are slowly becoming a concrete jungle, where we have subdivided all our lands now. Everyone owns a 50 by 100 plot where we fence and we build a house there, and we have not left any land for agriculture. And as a result, that's why we are saying there are even no jobs. That's why we are saying there is no food. Because land, agricultural land that was supposed to be used for farming is now being used to build houses. And I'm not saying it's wrong to build these houses, but how do we achieve a balance between making sure that we still have land left for us to do agriculture, but still at the same time accommodate people? I've seen in properly planned countries and properly planned states where you have people living around an estate and leaving the rest of the land for agriculture. And when that happens, you find it's even easier to provide infrastructure, such as school, such as stadia, such as electricity, social amenities for those people, because they live together as a community and they leave the rest of the land around for things like agriculture. Mr. Speaker, as I wind up, I need to re-emphasize this, that this irrigations board needs to come down to the people, to do projects that matter to the people, not just for money to buy cars, to buy mortgages, and to fund those particular officers in these offices. And if this is done properly, COVID has shown us something, that out of all the sectors in the economy, the one sector that continued to grow across the world has been food. Because even during times of lockdown and curfew, people are still eating. And therefore, any investment in agriculture, in growing food, we are sure we can never go wrong. And if we do that, and even as we wait at how to survive past COVID, because COVID is here but not to be here with us forever, is the solution to that and for youth employment and for growing the economy is through investment in those sectors that have been proven during these testing times, that even during those times that those sectors continue to grow. And one of those sectors is agriculture. And in those remarks, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to end by passing a condolence message for the loss of Honorable Victor Pringle, Honorable Senator. He's one of my constituents, and he was a great farmer. He was a great man, he was a great farmer, and you've lost a hero as a constituency and as a people of Nakuru County. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Great contribution. The Honorable Badi Twalib, member for Jomvu.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipatia nafasi hii pia mimi kuunga mkono juu ya mswada huu. Mheshimiwa Spika, mswada huu ni mswada muhimu sana kwa sababu inaonekana kuwa ni moja katika zile pila muhimu ya serikali hii, ambayo ya kwanza nikiangalia ilikuwa ni pila ya kuwekeza juu ya viwanda, yani industrialization, matibabu bora ambao ni jambo kubwa tumelizungumza wakati huu ambao ni affordable health care, makao bora ambayo tunasema kwa kimombo pia ni affordable housing, na lishe bora ambayo ni food security. Tukiangalia takwimu, Mheshimiwa Spika, takribani 80% ya nchi hii ni sehemu kame, na vile vile tunategemea 20% peke yake ili kuweza kukimu mahitaji ya lishe katika nchi hii. Kwa wakati huu mgumu, lishe ni lazima kwa kila mwananchi kuona kuwa hawezi kupata shida katika kupata chakula. Na hali hiyo haiwezekani kuwezekana katika nchi hii ikiwa sehemu kubwa itakuwa ni sehemu kame. Ndio tunaona serikali inajizatiti kwa wakati huu, tukiangalia projects kama vile za Galana Kulalu, kule Tana River, ili kuweza kujienua ili wananchi wake waweze kupata chakula. Mheshimiwa Spika, kitu ambacho mimi nitaweza kusema kidogo, kulikuwa na kiongozi marehemu akiitwa Thomas Sankara ambaye aliwaambia watu wake, yule ambaye anakupatia chakula kwa mdomo basi ataweza kukutawala ama kukolonize. Hivyo basi akawahimiza wananchi wake kuona kuwa ni lazima wafanye mambo ya kilimo ili kuweza kujilisha katika nchi ile. Imeonekana maajabu ya nchi ile iliweza kubadilika, na mengi hivi sasa inachukuliwa kuwa mfano mkubwa sana wakati ule. Na mimi leo, Mheshimiwa Spika, nachukua fursa hii nikiwa mjumbe wa Jomvu kuunga mkono mswada huu, kwa sababu tukiangalia hatuwezi kufanya yale mengine makubwa sana ikiwa matumbo yatakuwa na njaa. Lakini pia vile vile, Mheshimiwa Spika, nataka kusema kando na kuweka mikakati hii ya kuweza kupata unyunyizaji maji ili kwa kuwezesha mambo ya kilimo, ni muhimu kwa haki bora ama haki ya kimsingi, kwa kizungu tunasema fundamental right, ya kwa kuwa maji ni lazima kila mwananchi awe ataweza kupata katika sehemu yake. Na tukiangalia wakati huu wa corona hivi sasa, hata haya unyunyizaji maji ambao tunasema kwa mashamba, watu wanaweza pia vile vile wakipata maji kufanya ukulima katika sehemu zao pia wanazoishi. Tumeona katika sehemu za Nairobi na nyingine. Lakini Mheshimiwa Spika, nikisema kuwa ni haki ya kimsingi kila mmoja kupata maji, leo Mheshimiwa Spika, nashangaa kuna sehemu tangu tupate uhuru mpaka leo bado twalia tuna shida za maji. Mfano mimi nikitoa katika jambo hili ni sehemu yangu ya pale Jomvu. Wiki iliyopita, Mheshimiwa Spika, kulikuwa na maandamano makubwa sana katika sehemu ambayo inaitwa Bangladesh. Vile vile watu hawana raha katika sehemu ambayo inaitwa Ganahola. Mpaka leo tangu tupate uhuru, wananchi hawa wao wanapata maji kupitia kwa mfadhili ambaye ni Mombasa Cement. Hili ni jambo ambalo haliwezekani, na ni lazima kama serikali tusimame kidete kuhakikisha kuwa haki hii ya kimsingi kwa kila mwananchi ameweza kupata. Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi nachukua fursa hii kusema tumetolewa mfano na ndugu Mheshimiwa Majority Leader hapa, Mheshimiwa Kimunya. Ni kweli kabisa, leo ukienda Dubai ilikuwa ni nchi ambayo ni nchi kame. Juu ya jangwa kumekuwa na maajabu, Mheshimiwa Spika. Leo ukipita katika sehemu ya Dubai kupitia kwa juu, kuna soko kubwa sana la matunda, Mheshimiwa Spika, na na hakika pengine walijua kwa sababu hii ni soko maarufu ambalo liko hapo. Lina supply matunda katika kila sehemu. Mheshimiwa Spika, Dubai hivi sasa wanataka kukuza mchele ambao wautumie kwa watu wa sehemu hile na vile vile kufanyia biashara. Mheshimiwa Spika, hivi sasa maji ukifika utaweza kutumia na ni sehemu jangwa. Kwa hivyo hii ndio mifano ya kuigwa. Lakini jambo zuri ambalo mimi ningependa kusema, haingekuwa bora tukiwa viongozi katika nchi hii kutoa mifano ya Dubai na kwingine. Yatakana sisi Kenya ndio tulee mfano, Mheshimiwa Spika, watu sehemu nyingine waseme iangalie Kenya namna vile ambavyo imeweza kuwa. Mswada huu, Mheshimiwa Spika, nikiangalia juu ya hii maneno ya board, itaweza kweli kudhibiti na kuweza kweli kusimamia masala haya ili kuona 80% ile ambayo ni sehemu kame, basi tumeweza kuipunguza. Na ikiwa nchi hii tunaweza kulishwa na 20%, ikiwa tutaweza kuwapanua katika sehemu hizi na zikaweza kuwa zazalisha, basi tutakuwa hatuna shida. Mheshimiwa Spika, leo mimi nataka kutoa mfano mzuri sana wa karibu tu hapa Uganda. Wana shida za mambo mengine, lakini hawana shida za chakula. Wanatoa chakula mpaka hivi sasa hawajui chakula kile wataweza kupeleka wapi. Kwa hivyo tusitoe mifano ya mbali. Mifano ya hapa karibu ndio ya kuigwa, na mifano kama hii ni lazima Mheshimiwa Spika kuona kuwa sisi tumeweza mswada kama huu kuupitisha, na kama vile alivyosema Mheshimiwa Sankok, leo ameishi kwa ndoto ambayo alipokuwa katika chuo kikuu kuwa aliona jambo kama hili litakuja tokea, na leo hii amekaa hapa akiwa kiongozi kuona jambo lile lilolishauri kwa wakati ule lingefanyika kwa pesa kidogo, leo katika kulifanya litagharimu pesa nyingi. Na tukitizama pesa zile pia tukiangalia, nchi si kwa kuwa haina pesa. Katika hii miradi mikubwa ambayo yafanyika kama expressway ambayo yafanyika hapa kama alivyotoa mfano, tunaona kilomita 21 inaweza kubadilisha asilimia kubwa ambayo hivi sasa ni kame ikawa inaweza kuzalisha chakula. Na ndipo sababu Mheshimiwa Spika, mambo haya ni ya kimsingi. Ndio unaona mimi nasema mfano mmoja, mimi hii ni mara yangu ya pili kuja katika bunge hili. Nilipokuwa mara yangu ya kwanza 2013 Mheshimiwa Spika, tukiwa pamoja na wewe, tulifanya tena kampeni mwaka 2017. Tukawa na haki ya kimsingi katika maeneo yetu. Nakumbuka siku moja nikifanya kampeni nikasema sehemu moja, mimi ninajenga shule hapa. Ilikuwa hakuna shule tangu uhuru. Alienuka kijana mmoja akanambia, beba shule yako ende nayo, kwa sababu hatuna chakula hapa ya kuweza kula. Kwa hivyo masuala ya chakula ni jambo la muhimu katika kila mahali. Leo tukisema hivi ni kumaanisha ikiwa tutakuwa hatuwezi kuwapatia watu wetu lishe bora katika kila mahali, basi watu hawa watageuka kuwa watumwa wa watu wengine ambao watakuwa wakipatia chakula cha misaada katika ile sehemu. Kenya yetu haiwezi kuwa na watumwa ndani yake. Tuna uwezo ambao tunaweza kufanya ili tukawapatia watu wetu chakula bora na wakaweze kuishi bora. Mwisho kabisa, katika kumalizia Mheshimiwa Spika, nataka kuchukua fursa hii pia vile vile na mimi kuungana na wenzangu sikupata nafasi ya kwanza kuomboleza kwa niaba yangu na familia yangu na wananchi wangu wote wa Jomvu kwa kifo cha ndugu yetu Victor, na watu wote wa Nakuru tunawaambia pole kwa yale ambayo waliweza kutokea. Kwa hivyo naunga mkono mswada huu na kusema niko na imani Kenya yetu itaenda mbele na wananchi wetu wataondokewa na njaa. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii. Thank you.
Very good contribution. The Honorable Kipiegon Ngeno, member for Emurua Dikir, is not in the House. The next one on my list is the Honorable Ibrahim Abdisalan, member for Wajir North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also join my colleagues in supporting this bill. Mr. Speaker, first and foremost, we are in a very difficult period of drought. This drought will not have been realized if only we would have effectively used the skills of irrigation, especially in the arid and semi-arid countries. We will realize that, we receive a lot of rains during the rainy season, but then storage of that water collected is always a problem. And as a result, you'll see that there is high mortality rate of livestock. As we are speaking, we are already at the alert level of the drought, and livestock mortalities have already started. I think this will not have happened if only we would have had effective use of the irrigation system in this country. Mr. Speaker, there is perennial food shortage in this country, especially in the arid and semi-arid parts. Of course, in one of the agendas of the Big Four is food security and nutrition. However, the necessary actions have not been put in place to ensure that food insecurity in this country is minimized. Indeed, if only we would have had water pans and big dams in the arid and semi-arid parts of this country, then I have no doubt that we would have reduced the food insecurity and also improved the nutrition status of our aged and the young ones. Mr. Speaker, as we are speaking, the malnutrition level, especially in the arid and semi-arid parts, is very high. Acute water shortage In fact, they only depend on milk because food production is low, and the milk now is not there because of the existing drought, and as a result, this high level of malnutrition. I am sure if only we would have had good policies and a multi-agency, multi-sectoral approach in the way we conduct issues, I have no doubt this problem will not have been real. Will not be realized. That notwithstanding, in our budget making, we also have very big gaps. Indeed, it is important that we allocate budget to issues of dam construction and small-scale irrigation in the northern part of this country, such that food production is reduced. This has not been happening. We struggle to get few ponds. Let me congratulate the National Irrigation Board. At least they have tried their best to ensure that some ponds were done in parts of this country, including my own constituency. And I have no doubt the horticultural that has been produced as a result of those small ponds have improved issues of nutrition, especially in the most remote parts of this country. So that said, I think we need to change our ways of doing things. One, in terms of budget making, we must make sure that the right budget is allocated to this sector so that we improve the food security in the arid and semi-arid parts of this country. Secondly, we must make sure that there is multi-agency, multi-sectoral coordination approach in how we carry out this thing. You will find that besides the government, there are different actors on ground that are supporting this kind of activities. However, you will find that there is duplication of resources in small parts. You may go to a center, find 3 or 4 ponds, yet there are sectors that schools were closed down as a result of lack of water. You will find that the malnutrition level in a small village is extremely high because of lack of water, or there is no good water storage facility that can, harvest rains during the rainy season. Yet you will find another one with, so there is a lot of duplication of resources and as well as waste of resources because there is no multi-agency, multi-sectoral coordination of the small resources we have. I think we need to improve this if at all we have, to realize improvement of food insecurity in this country. Mr. Speaker, let me congratulate the Kenya Red Cross Society because they have carried out a number of food security projects. Of course, some of them integrated both with water and sanitation component, food security, and etc. And that way, they have supported people in arid and semi-arid country. I wish this House would have gone a notch higher to allocate some budget because most of the countries in the world allocate resources to their Red Cross societies. I wish we would have also go a notch higher, allocate them some budget, because for the period I have learned Red Cross, I have no doubt that even in terms of efficiency and effectiveness, they are far much ahead. That notwithstanding, Mr. Speaker, I think as a country, once again, we need to get out of this relief dependency syndrome and support sustainable water projects that will improve food security, especially in the northern part of Kenya. It is the high time that we come up with multi-agency, multi-sectoral coordination organs that can bring the county government, the national government, and other non-state actors together to pool resources together such that at least we have 2 or 3 projects in every constituency that is purposely meant for improving food security and as well as minimizing this malnutrition level that is extremely on the higher side. I am sure if we only change our ways of doing things, right from the budget making, issues of coordination and networking between the different actors, giving special priority to issues of food security, because we also have problems in terms of priority ranking of our needs. We say it, food security and nutrition is one of the big four agendas, yet nothing tangible done as to date in regards to the same. Mr. Speaker, I think there are projects that the government have initiated in terms of these food security aspects. For example, in my constituency, I have a dam called Butte Dam that was initiated way 3-4 years ago. But unfortunately, today the project has not kicked off because of so many bureaucracies. Indeed, as we are speaking, it is at the last level, I don't know, at the cabinet approval level. Thereafter, the project was to kick off. I think the departments, the government ministries that is in charge of these issues should move a bit fast so that we reduce these issues of bureaucracy that is delaying service delivery, by extension causing unnecessary pain to the population in various parts of this country. I think it is the high time that projects of high value, projects that will improve the lives and livelihood of vulnerable population, especially in the northern part of Kenya, be given special consideration. Mr. Speaker, I'm wondering, because if a small pan that was constructed by the National Irrigation Board could give us big production that have improved nutrition, for example, in the town of Butte, then why do we take so long to delay important projects that would have improved the lives and livelihood of the entire population of Northeastern? I have no doubt if the mega plan of Butte is realized, I have no doubt food supply in Wajir North, Wajir West, Mandera, Isiolo, Marsabit would have improved because it is again strategically located. Mr. Speaker, I think government departments involved in such important projects that are really delaying these projects must come out of their comfort zone and ensure that projects is delivered at the right time. That way, issues of bureaucracy reduced and service delivery provided at the right time. Mr. Speaker, I support.
On health grounds, I'll allow the Honorable Ochieng Awor to have this chance to speak. The Honorable Member
Thank
for
you.
Migori.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. And thank you for your consideration concerning my health. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this amendment bill on the irrigation. Mr. Speaker, it is very interesting that as early as primary school, we keep teaching our children that Kenya is an agricultural country. We tell them food is a basic need for any living human or animal or plant. And Mr. Speaker, with that, knowing that food is a basic need, it is interesting that even today we stand here and there are some Kenyans who cannot have food on their table. And on that note, Mr. Speaker, I would like to reiterate that among all the other basic needs or even the rights that we know all Kenyans have, the most one of concern should be food. And on that note, Mr. Speaker, it is important that we look for a way and we encourage our government to give priority to food production in Kenya. And as fellow colleagues have said, we have watched a pattern of happenings in Kenya. There is a time that we have plenty of rain. There is a time when certain parts of this country, people are literally dying and animals because of lack of it. And yet, year in, year out, we are doing nothing tangible, really sustainable, to make sure that the much water that comes, sometimes even destructive, is kept and utilized when the drought comes. Mr. Speaker, on that note, I want to support that our government should actually dedicate a significant sum of money to make sure that all the farmland in Kenya, in which case actually it is, like in Migori County where I come from, much of the land is agricultural, including Nyatike, which is actually a semi-arid. And along the lake basin, it is usually very dry. But the land there is fertile enough. I'm glad that there was some irrigation scheme and rice plantation that is being introduced there. But if we can do this water in the manner that I had my friend, Honorable Songkok, describe, then we can do a lot of horticulture, we can do a lot of fruit farming, we can do all sorts of farming. Because even the goats that survive well in semi-arid areas, they at some stage need water, at least to wet their throat as they chew their cud. So, Mr. Speaker, the need for this planned and carefully installed irrigation system in the entire country cannot be over-exaggerated. It is timely, it is something that should have been done many years ago, and this is the right time, coupled with the fact that our government of today has highlighted the need for food and food security as one of the key pillars. It would be my prayer that President Uhuru Kenyatta and the team make sure that this thing happens before the next year's general election. Then we shall have really known that we want Kenya to be food secure. Mr. Speaker, Kenya is blessed with suitable climate for food and crop production almost throughout the year. It is a shame, Mr. Speaker, because as I stand here, I know history holds it, that at one stage we had to import yellow maize from America. In America, the yellow maize is meant for feeding of animals, but Kenya had to import it. At some stage, we were talking about some infected maize from South Africa. This is sacrilegious, if I may use the religious terms, because Kenya can produce all sorts of foods, grains, and even vegetables, fruits of all nature. Therefore, it only calls for us to do the right thing. The right thing is to make sure that when the rainwater is there, we can depend on it and use it. When it is not there, we can turn on our taps and our fields can still remain green and produce food. It is a tragedy, according to me, because visiting a country like Canada, you see the kind of extreme cold conditions that they have, but they can manage to weather that and actually produce food not only enough for Canadians, but even other people in the rest parts of the world. It is important that Kenyans know that this blessing of natural, suitable climate for food production, coupled with proper use of our resources like water, then we can be a blessed, secure country food-wise. Mr. Speaker, economic growth is part of the goal of every government. In Kenya, it is difficult, much as people talk of 2 digits and whatever digits. But let me put it to this House and to the nation, that there is no country that can grow economically when her population are hungry. And so, Mr. Speaker, in the interest of boosting steady and sustainable economic growth in our country, we need to make sure that at least every household can produce enough food to feed that family and then have excess to share with the neighbor, either by way of donation or by way of selling it. Mr. Speaker, as I stand here, we know that our young people lack jobs. But from a small experiment that I've done in Migori County, I know that today, if our government decided to provide water and then provide even green houses for our young people, I'm telling you, they will all go farming and will produce enough tomatoes, they will produce enough vegetables, they will produce enough flowers, and these guys will become rich overnight, and they will not be loitering in our streets looking for jobs which are not forthcoming. It is that painful because some of our universities, like Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, have extensively expanded the agricultural curriculum. We have agribusiness people being produced, horticultural technicians and all that. All these people are in the streets of Nairobi looking for jobs. If all our counties could be having piped water and all sources of water, these young men and women will not be beggars in the streets of Nairobi. Mr. Speaker, they will be self-employed. I've experimented with it in Migori County using the little ngaff that I get, and I've seen it work, and these people are excited about this kind of project. Mr. Speaker, it is sad to say this, and let it not be misunderstood, that we do not want and recognize what this kitty called special funds can do in our nation. But the wonder is, why do we have to wait for the tragedy to occur? Then we call upon these funds, which sometimes do not even reach everywhere where there is disaster in our country. It is my opinion that as we talk about the budget and allocating more money to support well-orchestrated, planned irrigation schemes in our country, we can consider that we use some of these funds to avert the calamity before it happens. How can this be? I've heard my colleagues from Northeastern. Sometimes it rains very heavily in Northeastern until we have floods. Why don't we build some mega dam around that region that can hold that water instead of wasting it? And then when the dry spell comes, it is pumped out of there and distributed to the locations where it is required. Mr. Speaker, we can speak and speak forever, but I'm thinking, let us reconsider redistribution of our resources, and the issue of food should take the first priority, because our children can only get meaning from schools when they are fed. Even doctors will not give medication to their patients without food in their stomach. So food is that central. Preachers of this nation cannot hold any meaningful service during Sundays or Saturdays or during Fridays unless there is food in the congregation's stomach. Mr. Speaker, I support.
The Honorable George Koimburi, member for Juja.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let me also take this opportunity to support this irrigation bill. It's a very crucial bill. Honorable Speaker, as we know, all of us, in our country, Kenya, we did not have enough rain, especially for this year. I urge the government to put some more money to our farmers to enable them to do some irrigation, to buy pipes, to buy irrigation machines, also to build greenhouses. Honorable Speaker, in our area, like Juja, it's a very dry area, and we have river early, and we can empower our farmers with pipes, with greenhouses. Also, we can empower them also to give them the fertilizer to make sure we get enough food, and we can also export that food in our neighboring countries. Honorable Speaker, I support 001 Honorable Sankok. He said that we can harvest water from hills and also from our nearest river, so that our farmers can do irrigation and they can do better than what they are doing this time round. Honorable Speaker, I support the bill, and I say, if possible, we put some money in pockets to our farmers to enable them do irrigations to make sure we get more food in our country. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Adhiambo Duol.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for opportunity to contribute to this bill. Mr. Speaker, I would want to support this bill, particularly because, Mr. Speaker, as I look at the bill, it is clearly in clauses 3, 4, and 5, seeking to address a very important issue of administration and looking at ways in which to include management and regulations of irrigation matters. Mr. Speaker, when we look at the issues of irrigation, we can see that in Kenya today we have irrigation schemes. Mr. Speaker, we have irrigation schemes in Ahero, in Bunyala, in West Kano, in Western Kenya. Mr. Speaker, we also have irrigation scheme in Mwea, not to mention the others that we have in Hola, in Bura, in Galana, Kalau project. Mr. Speaker, I support this amendment bill because as we look at these irrigation schemes, given the potential that they can indeed provide in terms of performance, then we see that a major area of concern and what is seen to be a problem that is facing irrigation farming is poor management and maintenance of the schemes. Mr. Speaker, it is on record and is something that has been indeed pointed out that the challenge is with the low performance. And so when we look at an amendment that is clearly looking to address the very issue which has been indeed indicated to be a challenge, Mr. Speaker, this is something that we then must support. Mr. Speaker, the same amendment bill is seeking to provide for appointing and nominating authorities in line with the Constitution. We have a challenge, Mr. Speaker, as has been indicated by a number of members, that we have in our country a tendency to sometimes not ensure that institutions are delivering to their optimum because we do not take into account what could be seen to minimum requirements that relate to the Constitution and to other legislative parameters. And so, Mr. Speaker, as I support this bill, I would just want also to indicate that I am happy that looking at clause 8, we can see that the amendment bill recognizes that there needs to be harmonization, particularly when we have different acts and the overlaps. When we look at the Irrigation Act, the Water Act, and the Water Amendment, the Water Management Rules 2007, this amendment bill recognizes the need to ensure that we can harmonize and we can avoid what could be leading to wastage or what could be leading to ignoring certain fundamental issues. And so I support the amendment bill and just note that it is important that as these management issues, as these administrative issues, as these very key issues that would enable us to address issues of food security, as has been noted by other members, we will indeed also take note, Mr. Speaker, that the manner in which irrigation farming is done will take note of possible negative impact, such as when we have expansion and intensification of irrigation, and we do this and, Mr. Speaker, do not pay attention to the potential challenges that can result through soil erosion and many other ways. So I am satisfied, Mr. Speaker, that the manner in which the amendment seemed to have picked what could be seen to major gaps and is in fact targeting areas that would enable us to ensure that we get maximum output, Mr. Speaker, including ensuring that stagnant water that we find in canals and in fields and that breed pests that indeed lead to malaria and other diseases, Mr. Speaker, with the adequate management, with the adequate regulations, and indeed what the amendment provides will be handled. And so, Mr. Speaker, with this, I support. Thank you.
The Honorable Thuku Kwenya, member for Kinango.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to add my voice to this bill. And I wish from the onset to state that I support the amendments that are going to bring to life the operationalization of National Irrigation Authority. And Mr. Speaker, from the onset, it's good to go back to history and see as a country where you're coming from. Actually, as it is today, the only land in Kenya that can be, or that is arable, is just 10% that may not necessarily depend on irrigation. That naturally can be cultivated and bring about produce, depending on, whereas we depend on the natural weather patterns. And the rest of the country is either arid or semi-arid. And Mr. Speaker, 48% of our land can be utilized arably. That is to say, if only we are able to put our acts together and have a body that takes care of irrigating the difference, that's about 38% that is semi-arid, then we can be sure that we can operationalize or bring to life the issue of food security, which is a basic human right as enshrined in Article 43, whereby economic and social rights, some of the issues that are there, the issue of food security and adequate supply is well articulated. And Mr. Speaker, when His Excellency the President, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, was re-elected for the second time, he came up with a very ambitious transformational kind of a vision, whereby he stated that he wants to deal with 4 issues only, that we christened as Big 4 agenda. And top on the list was food security. And Mr. Speaker, to bring to life the issue of food security, to make sure that we're food secure and the issue of hunger and famine become a thing of the past, then I think now we are on the right trajectory by really bringing to life a National Irrigation Authority that is operational, that is proactive, an authority that is well funded, an authority that is people-driven. People-driven in the sense that people need to identify the areas that needs to be irrigated or to be connected to irrigation, or to where irrigation schemes are supposed to be installed or be taken to. I get disappointed with the kind of investments that I see coming from National Irrigation Authority. And at times I am persuaded to think they are just merchant-driven. They are not driven by the need to really transform and bring about food security as envisaged in the Constitution. These are programs and projects that are designed with a merchant in the end. Case study is Gulale Korande, irrigation scheme that is in Tana River. A lot of money have been sunk in that project. Yet, what is our output? What do we get? What value for money do we get from that project? And Mr. Speaker, that begs that even as we support this bill to be operationalized, to be passed and become an act of Parliament, we need to have an authority that has the people, the interest of the people at heart, from the CEO to the chairman to the board of directors, and maybe going forward, Mr. Speaker, I think board of directors of some of these organizations should be members, former members of Parliament who have the interest of the people at heart, because they know what is needed. And at times we are so harsh with ourselves. We form, these bodies, we do not think of the people who've served the community, who really have a vision and a purpose to transform the areas that they have represented people. And because these people are tried and tested, Mr. Speaker, not only that maybe it will be seen to be discriminatory, I think some of these board members should be former members of Parliament because I believe in their capacity. Mr. Speaker, we do not have shortage of water in this country. We do not have shortage of land. We do not have shortage of manpower. All that we are lacking is that goodwill to have people who are going to be so deliberate, especially in budget-making processes from the Ministry of Agriculture, Treasury, the people who plan for this country, whereby we can sink money to the very backbone of this country, which is agriculture. put money where it matters. And I can tell you for sure, Mr. Speaker, we are going to feed not just this country, but even our neighbors. Because, for instance, if I were to give an example of my own constituency, Kinangop constituency, I have a total of 8 wards. 4 wards can do very well without irrigation. But I have other 4 wards that if only we just put a catalyst of irrigation, because of our fertile land, well-drained soil, a soil that can retain water for some time, then we are going to have a very efficient irrigation scheme that is going to increase the productivity of our land, that is going to secure jobs for our young people, secure the future of our farmers, and feed this country and beyond. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, all I'm saying is that we need to make use of the available resources that we have. I was really impressed by one of the farmers from Kipipiri, the leader of Majority's constituency. He put a video of a farmer who just got a water pan from National Irrigation Authority. And this farmer is giving a confession that since this water pan was dug, I am able to feed my family. I am able to pay school fees for my children because we do not need to be given handouts. That water pan, because the worth of that water pan is known, it's not even anything above 50,000, but has brought about transformation of a whole family and a whole household and affected the lives even of the people who live in Nairobi because now they are buying food cheaper because there are so many other people who are growing the same. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, this is an authority that touches where it matters in the hearts of people. If well managed, we are going to have more than we can handle. And in fact, Mr. Speaker, we need to take this a notch higher so that then we allow National Irrigation Authority to even do bans or places where we can, storages, where we can store food. Like it is happening today in my constituency. Potato farmers are suffering. They do not have market for potatoes because there's a lot of potatoes in supply. The harvest is bounty. But if we had a way of storing or storage of the potatoes, then we can wait for market to just normalize and have the same produce sold. And then the farmers are going to get value for their work. And I think National Irrigation Authority should not just think of how we're going to increase food productivity, but also how we're going to store the same for purposes of the times when we do not have adequate. In my constituency, Mr. Speaker, National Irrigation Authority, I wish to really thank them because they have a project for the first time. We have an irrigation project that is called Upper Gateway Irrigation Scheme. I happened to have visited there yesterday, and I was impressed with the level of work that is done. But I can tell you, Mr. Speaker, the bureaucracies in decision-making and implementation of these projects is wanting. And therefore, we would want to have an efficient system, a system that is well aware that whatever project is being implemented, it is for purposes of improving the livelihood of our citizens, Mr. Speaker. I also have another one that has stuck, called Mutonyorasi Irrigation Scheme. There is a dam. They don't need to dig a dam. It was done long time ago by our colonial fathers. And I think, to some extent, Mr. Speaker, I'm ashamed to say, I think our colonial fathers should have stayed around for quite some time. Maybe we would have moved faster than we are moving. Because how comes that they left dams that have just been left for cattle grazing, so that then we take our cattle there to drink water? Yet, they had a vision and a purpose that these dams be used for irrigation, to bring about difference and to make sure that we do not suffer the shame of hunger. Mr. Speaker, it is high time that we woke up and maybe live the dream of our fathers, to pambane na njaa, just like Mzee Kenyatta said, Mr. Speaker, and to pambane na ujinga, just like he said, because this is the time. If we don't do this, then it will be one time too late. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I support this bill.
I agree with you, the Honorable Thuku. There's no dignity in hunger. The Honorable Kipyegon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for letting me also make my contribution to this particular amendment on Irrigation Authority. Mr. Speaker, I wish to state that I support in totality because, Mr. Speaker, because of several reasons. Mr. Speaker, you know irrigation is meant to make a country food secure. And food insecurity in any country, Mr. Speaker, is the most dangerous undertaking. Mr. Speaker, remember even the most serious revolutions in other countries, like the France, which had actually a serious revolution.
The Honorable
because of
Coimbra,
food.
just hold on, the Honorable Kipyegon. The Honorable Coimbra seems to have a point of order. Proceed, the Honorable Coimbra. Yeah, just wait for the mic. Can you key in the intervention so that we can find you? Yes, proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. In this country, we know COVID-19 is very high. And our honorable member, he removed the mask. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
You are absolutely right, the Honorable Coimbra. The Honorable member for Emurua Dikir, kindly just maintain your mask on.
I'll do that, Mr. Speaker. And remember the reasons around the vaccinations. Remember also the reasons about the social distancing. All around there surrounds the question of, are you close enough to infect your neighbor? But all the same, Mr. Speaker, I will abide by your direction. Mr. Speaker, I was talking about the countries that faced very serious uprisings, Mr. Speaker, because of food insecurity. The French and many other countries, including even the Ukraine, Mr. Speaker, which had one of the most severe famine called Holodomor, Mr. Speaker, which was caused purposely by lack of food. And in some cases, it was actually caused, or it was normally coined as an artificial famine, Mr. Speaker, because some part of the country wanted to starve some section of the country to untwist them to believe in their ideology. Mr. Speaker, food is a very fundamental thing in our lives. People cannot go to work, people cannot go to school, people cannot come to this house to make laws when they are hungry. And the most simplest way, Mr. Speaker, especially when God gave us a country like Kenya, which, like what my brother said, maybe it is only 10% which is arable, Mr. Speaker, but around 50 to 60% of this country can be irrigated and produce food enough for our citizens, enough for even export. Mr. Speaker, I think we have had issues to do with irrigations, Mr. Speaker, and I'm hoping, and the reason why I'm supporting this particular amendment, Mr. Speaker, is because I think, in my own thinking, that maybe this amendment, the introduction of the Irrigation Authority, will go a long way, Mr. Speaker, in ensuring the management of the irrigation schemes that we have in this country, Mr. Speaker, so that we can have a food-secure nation. Mr. Speaker, we have had irrigation schemes in the country that have collapsed or that have failed in one way or another. There are those which have succeeded. There are those that have failed. Mr. Speaker, the major failures in the country includes the Galana, Gulalu, Bura irrigation schemes. This is where we placed or we put a lot of money, billions of money, Mr. Speaker, expecting that these schemes will produce enough food for our citizens. Mr. Speaker, I think the introduction of this authority and the amendment thereby is meant to secure whatever undertaking the country takes in terms of irrigation, Mr. Speaker, will make or will be done according to law and until its conclusion. Mr. Speaker, the concept that we are having today in our country, where we have so many youths unemployed, where we have so many people begging in this country, Mr. Speaker, where we have many hustlers in this country, Mr. Speaker, who are working day and night to put food on their table, is because we haven't sat down as a country. You know, our country was coined as an agricultural country. And when you look at what the government is doing towards making the country food secure, it's absurd. It's an absurdity, Mr. Speaker. And we want to say, we wish that the next successive governments will dwell much on how to bring back this country into the agricultural country we used to know, how it can bring back the counties that we used to know as the breadbasket of this country, Mr. Speaker. And also those other counties which we know may not even be good producers of food, Mr. Speaker, through these authorities, through irrigation authority, can make those counties, Mr. Speaker, produce enough food for our country. Mr. Speaker, like what many people have said, the introduction of irrigation to counties, especially counties like Narok, counties like Bomet, counties like Kwale, counties like Baringo. Mr. Speaker, if we were to introduce irrigation methods of farming in those particular areas, Mr. Speaker, this country will be food secure. We could produce enough food for the local consumption. At the same time, we could also produce enough to export to other countries. Mr. Speaker, it's absurd that we are importing maize, we are importing wheat, we are importing even rice from other countries, countries that when you look at even the percentage of the arable land in those countries, Mr. Speaker, it's almost, I would say, Mr. Speaker, it's not even a quarter of our country, but we are importing food from those countries simply because of poor management in our country, simply because we cannot put our food on the ground to ensure that whatever money we invest on irrigation schemes, Mr. Speaker, deliver what our country wants. Mr. Speaker, it is also an absurdity, Mr. Speaker, because when we are talking about irrigation, we need to have first, where do we fetch this water? Are we going to tap this water from rivers? Are we going to tap this water from rain? Are we going to tap this water from the dams that we can make? Are we going to tap this water from boreholes that we drill? Mr. Speaker, we must also be genuine in our wish to have water for irrigation. Mr. Speaker, remember there are so many dams in this country that have stalled. One of the dams which have stalled in this country is the Bosto Dam in Bomet. Itare Dam in Molo, I mean in those sides of Nakuru. Kimwarer Dam, I don't know if it is in Baringo or it is in Elgeyo Marakwet, and Aror, and many others, Mr. Speaker. When you look at the reasons why these dams have stalled, Mr. Speaker, it is neither because of money stolen, neither because of anything to do with management. I think it is because of politics. Mr. Speaker, these dams, especially the Itare Dam, which I have visited, it was half complete. And this dam was going to serve several counties, Mr. Speaker, Nakuru County and almost the whole of Nakuru County, including even the neighboring counties. But, Mr. Speaker, because of our useless political undertakings, Mr. Speaker, these dams have stalled. And we have nothing to tell our generations why these dams have stopped. Mr. Speaker, I'm hoping the introduction of this irrigation authority, Mr. Speaker, will make some of these dams fall under the authority so that the dams, the drilling of the boreholes and these dams, which are going to be dug, Mr. Speaker, will be run by the authority, but not by the political class that we have right now, Mr. Speaker. Because if this was to stop because of our political differences, Mr. Speaker, we are exposing our country to irreversible famine. Mr. Speaker, it is only because many people right now have nothing else to do, only farming. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, if people were to move from the agrarian system to communication, Mr. Speaker, nobody will be farming in this country, and this country will be ravaged by famine. Mr. Speaker, let us relook, and I support this particular bill because I believe, and we will be also proposing amendments, because we believe if we could make all these dams which have stalled to fall under the authority, then, Mr. Speaker, we believe it's going to help this country move forward. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I support.
Honorable Musimba.
Speaker, for this opportunity to contribute to this amendment bill. From the onset, we support, And I think key among them is the contributions made by the Honorable Sankok, and to which, Mr. Speaker, you yourself also echoed the same words. I think it's an idea whose time has come. And I want to urge the Honorable Sankok to immediately initiate what will otherwise be known as a Sankok initiative by starting an online petition to gather over close to 50 million signatures, if it were possible, including that of our children, to expand your constituency from that 6.5 million people, but to the entire Kenya, to ensure, and this petition will be directed to the Budget and Appropriations Committee, to ensure in this next budget cycle, as we begin, we earmark and reinvest those funds. A tradition which we did as this House, Mr. Speaker, when we were seceding part of our budgets towards the COVID-19 campaign. And we ably did that and ring-fenced towards PPEs and allocated funds to referral hospitals. And I think this is very possible. As a person who comes from a semi-arid area in Kibwezi, we understand the need to have water available to everyone. As part of the SDGs goals, where we talk about availability of potable water within 2 kilometers. This will go a really long, long way, Mr. Speaker. We speak ably as a country about last mile initiatives, that being for power provision, and I think this is more impactful to lives and livelihoods that a lot of my colleagues have already spoken to, about articulation of our Chapter 4 rights in terms of both the economic and social aspects, because water provision really protects the dignity of our people. It will help spur the bottom part of our economy and help grow our able country. Mr. Speaker, I cannot emphasize enough that in adopting this irrigation amendment bill, and in going the way which I'm urging Honorable Sankok, and will be at the front line of as well, helping you. You have my signature as the first petitioner, Honorable Sankok, towards getting this done. It will restore a lot of things. We'll be able to monitor it as soon as it's adopted by the Budget and Appropriations Committee, and indeed passed here to be given the funds that it requires. We'll ensure the Committee of Implementation follows to see these particular milestones across the entire country. For us to look at what is traditional, expand the scope of having water turbines, to be able to pump water through rivers into inland to 3 kilometers. Mr. Speaker, to be able to combat things which we have sort of left, like irrigation projects out of Lake Victoria, irrigation projects out of the largest aquifer that has ever been discovered in the known world, which is in Turkana. How do we accomplish that? These are things which are bigger than even the discovery of oil within our nation. Mr. Speaker, and in closer looking at the bill, there are 3 major things which come out, which I think the leader of majority, who's the mover of the bill, needs to really look at, because wording is important. And Mr. Speaker, you're a lawyer, you understand this, that when they say that the authority will be charged with looking at all levels of irrigation, and then somewhere in the small print, I think in subsection J, they say the authority will be in charge of licensing. In a different strata, they speak about the authority will be the one charged with all initiatives of water harvesting. They will control how water harvesting initiatives and the manner it's being done, the instrumentation. We are working closely towards having the bureaucracy that is a big fear to people who are running personal community initiatives. That's where they want to have a tank which is to store maybe 2-3 million liters of water, to be able to distribute that in their own locality. And we are talking that they have to go and seek permission to be able to do it. Then we'd be lost in this sort of bureaucracies. And the third aspect, which caught my eye within the bill, is the issue that as soon as this bill has been ratified to law, now no one can be able to proceed with irrigation unless they get a license. And these are very slippery waters, because then it means we will go on a standstill to be able to say, oh, we can't undertake or deal with people on the ground in terms of provision of food or initiatives of capturing water, like our rice growing areas, like the places which are confronted with dikes and water flooding, that they would never be able to put mitigating aspects unless an authority, which is possibly being domiciled in Nairobi, comes to act in places like Budalangi, in Nyatike, in Nyando, and this would be an area of concern. So this is to be able to direct or request the majority leader to be able to look at this aspect so that we call on expungement of those particular items within the bill. The fourth aspect which I want to bring to attention to the House, Mr. Speaker, is that irrigation goes hand in hand with things of soil improvement. We have to be able to see how can we improve soils and soil qualities around the country. We speak about siltation being able to be carried by our rivers to the oceans. And this is very rich soils. But we don't talk about what is happening upstream in terms of the loss of, your topsoils, your really Arabic soils. How do we get that authority to also be charged with looking at the quality of soils around the country and looking at mitigation measures? Because they talk in the bill about them being able to offer on a commercial basis the technical expertise to help people with coming up with irrigation designs. But this is one salient aspect because it's a causal effect of irrigation. And it is important that it's also captured in the bill as one of their mandates about soil improvement and the impact towards irrigation. Mr. Speaker, all in all, is to say, once again, that this is an idea whose time has come. And we as Parliament should take the lead in ensuring we ring-fence the funds. Honorable Sankok spoke about 50 billion. I think we can enhance it because of, time value for money from when you proposed it till date, and get even those PPRs, how can we manufacture them here locally? How can we get industry into it? If we are already doing automobiles under the Big Four agenda, why can't we talk about these end components being done from here? Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity.
I agree with you, the Honorable Musimba. If we give water to our people, we'll give dignity to them. The Honorable Odhiambo Akoth, member for Suba North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I hope you can use your discretion under one of the standing orders to enable me speak, because otherwise I'm seeing our time is gone. Mr. Speaker, I'd hoped to come earlier, but unfortunately I lost a very dear friend of mine called Violet Okewasuna, and we are holding a funeral service today. That's why I was not able to come. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, there are issues of interest to me in the Foreign Services Bill that I'd wish to have spoken to. But I wish to indicate that I support this bill that seeks to amend the Irrigation Act. Mr. Speaker, the amendments that are proposed here are fairly minor, not anything major, but there are amendments that seeks to bring cohesion in the bill, that seeks to bring logic and to ensure effective implementation of the Act. Mr. Speaker, with climate change, we need long-lasting interventions, and irrigation is the way to go. I come from a semi-arid area in Suba North, and Mr. Speaker, irrigation would actually be very beneficial to us, especially with the dwindling stocks in the lake. It would enable us to diversify into agriculture. Mr. Speaker, however, one of the things that I think is important, because there are areas in my constituency that people have started small-scale irrigation, but they are competing with wild animals, Mr. Speaker. So it's one of the things that I think we need to also seek a way of dealing with the human-wildlife conflict. Hippos that roam homes. For the first time, I went to my mother's and father's home. I found footprints of hippos that are now living as though they are part of a human life, Mr. Speaker. Irrigation also will enable us to enhance food security, Mr. Speaker.
And Mr. Speaker, I think that is one of the big four agenda of the president. And I think sometimes most of us as leaders know that we may be well intentioned and we may have an excellent vision. But if you don't have people who are implementing with you that share the same vision, then you know, Mr. Speaker, that it becomes very difficult to realize your goals, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, one of the things that also the irrigation does is to revegetate disturbed soil in dry areas like mine. Mr. Speaker, it also has such uses such as frost protection, suppressing weed growth.
The Honorable Akoth.
Yes.
I know you asked the Speaker to use his discretion to extend time, but he doesn't have too much leeway in that. You will allow me to call you so that I allow you to finish your contribution when this matter will be set down for consideration, hopefully tomorrow. You will have a balance of 6 minutes when it is considered again. Yes, and the funeral you are attending, I'm aware of the Wasunas. They are people I know very well. I was in school with one of the children from that family, and it is one of the very serious families from the Maseno area, just next to my place. And I'm really sorry about their loss. So you are attending to a good cause. You are not out of parliament for a bad cause. It was a good one. Honorable members, and the time being 7 p.m., this House stands adjourned until Wednesday, 18th August 2021 at 9:30 a.m.